Public comment section. Anyone wanting to speak on an agenda item, please sign in. We got sign-up cards in the back table. And you've got like 3 minutes each to speak on it. Before we go to number 4, I'd like to go and see if we can get a 2/3 election of officers that we normally do in December. Got a motion by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Any questions? Objection? So moved. We'll go ahead and move on it now. Get it out the way. Chairman of the Drainage Board.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Connell.
You've been doing a great job, and our Vice Chairman has as well, and I would make the motion once again that we reappoint you as Chairman and Mr. Thompson as Vice Chairman for another term.
Second. Mr. Chairman, I recommend the nomination be closed. Second. I got a motion and a second. Thank y'all very much. Mr. McConnell. We'll move on. Number 4, acceptance of minutes, November 7th, 2005. So moved by Mr. Second by Mr. Seymour. Any objections? So moved. Public Works Report, maintenance, Bill Root.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we're going to be short tonight. One thing I have to do, I'm going to give it out, is to notice that we need to renew contracts for the beginning of next year, first meeting of January. And what I'm going to do now is pass out the list of contracts that need to be renewed. What I'd like for you to do is review it, and then for the first meeting of January, I'd like to be prepared to renew all of these contracts, or the ones you want to keep, and if you want to add some more to it, let's do it all at that meeting. So again, if you review it and then get back with me, or with Ms. Lear, before the next meeting to add it to the list, and then we'll take that up at that time. The other thing, one thing to mention, we were talking to the other meeting, I think the last meeting, about the possibility of NRCS doing the grubbing and clearing of Conway, Panama, and also Biting on Sea. It seems now that they will not get the money they were hoping for, so we're going to go ahead and keep that in our budget for us to do it ourselves. It's in our budget. We never did take it out, so it looks like we're going to have to spend our money to do that next year. So we're going to go ahead and schedule it and start working on that.
Bill, which canal is that?
That's it. You remember we said because of the hurricanes, NRCS said that they had the money, or they felt they could get the money to be able to go in and do some emergency work or bigger projects than just pulling trees out. And that was on Conway, Panama, and also Biting on Sea. And again, they came back and said, well, they reprioritized the funding, and that those bayous was not deemed an emergency. So the possibility of getting funds for it right now is very slim. And we could wait, but I'd rather not. Again, we're going to go in there to contract that out ourselves beginning of next year. And also I have passed out the drainage summary, work order summary for last month for your review. If you have any questions about it, we'd be glad to answer it tonight, or contact me at any time during the week, and we'll get with you on those work orders and projects that's ongoing. Just for the record, we are using the new Cartograph computer system. We're using the work order system in that. We're training our people on it right now. The reports are not in the form that's to my liking today, as of today. So that's why I didn't print out a report from the new computer system, because we're revising what's on those reports right now. And I'd rather wait till the first of next year, and then every drainage board meeting you're getting a report directly from that computer system. But we are using it and refining it every day. And unless there's any other questions, that's all I have. I know we may have a long meeting tonight, so I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Bill, Whenever you say that we lost funding for Panama and Conway, they said they reprioritized. What exactly are they looking for? Did they give you any indication at all?
I can give you the letter they sent to me, and it had some terms in there how they prioritize it. Originally, they thought they were going to get it just about anything that had anything to do with possible flooding or something that would be a detriment to another storm coming to this region. They were able to get the funding and go ahead and expedite, work like major canals, getting in there, grubbing and cleaning it, make sure that if we get another event, it wouldn't hurt the parish. But again, they came back and it's not deemed an emergency, so they reallocated the money. I tell you what I do is send a letter to each one of you, exactly what I received from them, and I think it explains it a bit better.
Bill, do you remember what we got budgeted for those two projects?
I think I put in roughly about $150,000 per location, per bite.
If we're not going to wait on them and we're going to go proceed on our own, is there any action that we can take now, authorizing to move forward?
No, it's in the budget. It's already named as one of our projects. You adopted the budget, so we can move forward with it. In fact, we're in the process now of trying to locate contractors to bid on these projects.
Thank you.
Any more questions from Mr. Rue? Thank you, Bill.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Rue on behalf of one of my constituents. He said that they did a real good job cleaning up through the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, on that note, if you remember, we prioritize in our work orders under the new system. 5 priorities, highest being places that flooded mainly during the last rain event. That's the number 1 priority. We're doing everything possible to solve those problems. Second priority is anything that could flood, any kind of things going on out there that if we get another event could possibly cause a flooding. That's our 2 priorities. Everything else is taking a back seat to that. The problem is that to solve those priorities, those situations, you're not going to see us out there throwing dirt, because the fact of the matter is most of them is much more complicated than that. Some we are doing, the Goudin and some few other places, but some of these house flooding situations that have occurred during the 10-year event, the Reader event, is much more complicated, and we don't have the ability to solve a lot of them. A lot of it has to do with the state and bigger projects. But again, we are doing everything possible. Our engineering staff is working with URS and other CDM and other engineering firms to try to come up with some kind of solution. So that is our priorities. So.
Any more questions? We'll move on to number 6, hydraulic capacity analysis of Marvin Brook Pumping Station, Mr. Bill Root.
We discussed at the last meeting the problem that may occur if we get the same type of events we had during Rita, and if something would happen to at least one of the pumps. We're concerned about the capacity of the pumping station and how that corresponds to our future projects. We have 2 firms that has gave us proposals so far on doing the analysis of the McElroy or Marvin Brook pumping station. BCG and CDM both have submitted proposals so far. If you look at the price, very close, but I wish you would not look at the price at all. What you should consider is the ability of the engineering firm to do the type of analysis that you want. The price is very competitive, but again, we're looking at the qualifications of the engineering firms and our ability to give us the report needed. I'm giving you this not to vote on right now unless you want to. It's for consideration, so we can come back maybe at the next meeting and make a determination how you want to proceed with this. Again, it could be getting more proposals or whatever. Again, it's for you to consider between now and the next meeting.
Mr. Byron. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Rue, I agree. I mean, we don't want to get raped with a price, but a few thousand here and there really doesn't matter when you're dealing with something as important as this. And before we make a decision on them, can you possibly get the qualifications on and the experience of these firms with dealing with pump situations, so we can try to make an educated decision?
Sure.
Instead of looking at just prices.
Yes, sir. And another reason for giving it, if you want to another firm to be considered, it's whatever the wishes of the board is. We'll include more firms if that's your wish.
Mr. Shakespeare.
I would also like to include on there for situations and emergency situations to keep the pumps going. We found out that in New Orleans on the hurricane, a number of situations, problems wasn't pumps. They wasn't manned because the people didn't have a place to stay for one reason, and then they didn't have alternative electrical generating capacities. And because of that, that's what the big problem we had in Jefferson Parish. And obviously, if we have a hurricane come directly over us, we're going to have some electrical problems, we're going to have some wind problems. If we can't man it, and if we can't get electricity to it, it's not going to work. So we need to put that in our study. If we're going to spend money, it's not going to be good if we get a big event. We need to make sure that we take into account what it's going to take to be able to man it and get energy to it if we have a big event.
And these units are self-contained. They have their own generator units. So we can go without any electricity at all. They're diesel pumps, diesel operated mechanism. But the purpose of the evaluation is look at the whole situation down there, mechanically.
Man it during worst case scenario.
If that's it. Let's see what we have.
Mr. Hillsback. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I visited the pump station recently, and I've been talking to various employees about the pump station, and the drainage manager for the pump station, Mr. Allen Allred, told me that each pump has a capacity of 500,000 gallons per minute. And with 5 pumps, if they're all running, that's 2.5 million gallons of flow per minute. And now, we may have lost a little bit over the years, but I kind of doubt it. I think that those 10-foot impellers, they move the water out. There is an issue about being able to get fuel for refuel, and I think we might need some larger tanks on site because the road to Marvinboro Pump Station does go under. However, that could be staked out, and they still should be able to get in there, but I'd feel better knowing that we did have adequate fuel on site to keep the pumps running. So I'm definitely in favor of studying the bayous and looking at the drainage flow. But as far as it being an issue of the pumps being overwhelmed, I don't think that's the case. I'll have some more to say about that. My agenda item number 8. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just reading this proposal you gave us. It says the proposal we provided you included the task of determining the capacity of the McElroy pump station. Is this something that URS could do also? Are they in the mix?
No, and this is something that usually we don't give something like this to our consulting engineer per se. I mean, it's a contract to do that, a pretty extensive evaluation. It's not something that you can't give to them. I think one of the agreements that we had with bringing URS on board was an extension of our staff, and we really didn't want to give them too much of other type of contract, evaluation contract.
The reason why I'm asking is because, URS was supposed to be observing and making sure that we got things done right. If this is just to determine what we need, if this is not actual work, this is the type of stuff that I believe that we hired URS to do.
It's whatever you want to do with it. I mean, they're hired as our extension of our staff, as our consultants.
And I agree with that. I mean, they're here for evaluation purposes and trying to see what we need to do. Now, the actual contract to do something or change things, go to someone else. Either way, they both qualify, but I mean, I think that's something to look at there.
Mr. Byron?
Before we just arbitrarily give it to URS or anyone, let's make sure they are qualified and review their qualifications in the pump situation instead of just, I know they are a review agent, but let's make sure they're worthy of the project.
Mr.
Bill, as far as these proposals here, as far as the questions that will actually be answered here, I think we would be more comfortable if we were to get our consultant engineer, URS, to come up with a list of items that we wanted to look for when we're looking at retrofitting or the capacity or evaluating the pump. I think that would be a better line or better road to travel. Let them, because they have extensive experience with pumping, to where they can come up with a list of criteria that we're looking for. And then we can take it from there. Because we may be looking for more than this right here with the pump, evaluating the pump. And so far as making a decision, this is one that it doesn't matter. To me personally, I want the best qualified firm on this particular task right here. Because this is the heart and soul of these Ascension major drainage. So we want to put any politics, any paybacks, or anything on the side when it comes to picking a firm to evaluate the pumping station at Wayne. So, and I'll go even as far as URS. I know that we made a commitment that we wouldn't use URS other than consulting. But if URS is by far the best company in this area, in this expertise area, I don't have a problem going with them personally. But anyway, that's how serious I am about getting the right company with the experience under their belt to come in and evaluate the pump.
Any more questions? So, Bill, I guess we'll come back whenever you get, more quotes in and qualifications. And do we want to go with URS as overseeing it?
I would like to see URS come up with the
scope of work.
Scope of work.
Get URS to come up with the scope of work.
For sure.
And bring it back up. Probably should.
No,
You okay with that?
I get take care of that.
Now, I might agree with that, Mr. Chairman, because if you look at the proposals, one's way more in depth than the other.
Yeah. They
And,
are.
I mean, you want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. I mean, we're only looking at one over here.
You got one in your packet. BCG is in the packet. Again, this is not. This is just a statement of more than anything else, statement of interest in wanting to perform this. That was what was sent to. We never did really sit down and come up with a total scope of work. The bottom line is that we were asked is, what can we do to look at the pumping station and make sure we protect it? With the rapid expansion of the parish, if you're going to dredge all the way up, you're going to put a lot more capacity to the pump at a higher frequency. Will that harm us? It's a very simple question. Now, it might involve a year of work and $200,000 to get the answer, but it's a very simple question, yes or no, or what should we do? And then, of course, I'll give you URS and we'll hammer out the exact details of the scope. But, I mean, the question is very basic. And, again, this is just for your review, so we can talk about it throughout this month and be ready to act on it in January.
That'd be good. We'll move on to number 7, Hazard Mitigation Plan, Aegis. Jason Bennett with Jeff Eaton.
Hi, I'm Jeff Heaton, our project manager, Jason Benoit. We were asked to come tonight to ask any questions you might have about the plan. It was approved about a month ago by FEMA and state reviewers, and just ready for resolution by the parish and communities.
Go ahead and explain the projects that you're talking about, Jeff, so everyone will be back on board.
The projects, what the plan lays out is what the hazards are that Ascension Parish is facing, and the types of things that we'd like to do to address those hazards. The hazards are flooding and hurricanes and thunderstorms and those kind of rain-producing events.
Excuse me.
Mr. McComb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I remember we had commissioned Aegis Corporation in the last administration to work on this hazard mitigation plan, and it's a pretty lengthy plan. It's pretty comprehensive, and I remember getting a copy of it. And Jerry, did this new drainage board get a copy of the mitigation? We may want to get a new copy of what FEMA has approved and let the drainage board review it, and then come back. And I know I have an old copy of it from a couple of years ago, but I don't know if the new drainage board has a copy.
That'd be fine.
Any questions? Jerry?
Jeff, as far as FEMA coming in and funding, doing some more repetitive loss funding, are they coming down with additional funding for repetitive loss structure?
Let's see, I think it was last week or the week before, I lose track, but the state announced the new funding opportunities for hazard mitigation following Katrina and Rita. They've changed the process a little bit from the way they did it before. They're also trying to get the money to the parishes faster than they have in the past. Y'all may remember with Hurricane Lily, the mitigation money wasn't available for about a year after the storm. Well, the state's gone ahead, got with FEMA, and they've come up with what they estimate to believe just an initial pot of money that they're trying to make available to parishes. And because of the size of Katrina Rita, that pot is huge compared to what it used to be. For instance, with Lily, the mitigation money for the entire state was $30 million. The mitigation money for Katrina Rita is estimated between $2 and $4 billion. So the initial pot of money that they've made available for applications is $250 million. Applications are due by April 1st for Katrina and May 1st for Rita. Those would be submitted to the state. They've also set it up a little bit differently, and they have actual amounts by parish. And Ascension Parish has been designated for these at least minimal amounts from those two funds. And that's on the state website. Of course, our firm makes applications for parishes that wish us to do so, and as we've offered in the past, we would continue to offer to Ascension Parish to work with you on that application if you so desire.
Mr. McComb.
I assume we're working off the same prioritized list. We have all those people listed that we've been working with for years.
In 2004, there was something in Washington passed called the Flood Reform Act of 2004. As part of that, they came up with a new terminology called severely repetitive loss properties. Those properties, for at least this initial amount for Hurricane Katrina, have been set up as the priority. The money from Hurricane Rita, they're saying, is open to any structures for which elevation or buyout would be a cost-beneficial solution. So it's much more open for the Rita money. And as I said, there's a
operating off of that list, because I know Mrs. Savoy has someone, I have some people who are on the list, and it's taken them a few years to work their way up to where they are now, and I'd hate to see them moved out.
For the RETA money, it's more open than it's been before. It's going to be based on benefit cost analyses that have to be submitted with the application.
The last properties that were bought, that was on Manchac Acres. How far have they made it into our parish as far as buying out the flooded property?
Under previous grants, we've done some buyouts. I think I don't remember the number right now. Of the Lilly money, we had enough for one buyout and one elevation project. The elevation project is just now getting underway. The buyout was completed. I'm not sure what you mean by how far into the parish.
How many structures have been identified as federal law that would qualify for a FEMA buyout? I think that's what Jackson, and how many have we done? Right.
Okay, Jason's better with the numbers than I am. He's telling me we've mitigated 17 structures in this parish. Now, of your repetitive loss structures, and again, that changes after every storm, whether it's a repetitive loss structure or not. My recollection is that you're in the hundreds of structures that meet that definition. Jason says 226. So.
226. That's 100. Thank you, Jeff. It's 200. Any more questions for Jeff? Thank you.
All right, I will send a copy of the plan to Mr. Rue or to Ms. Laverne. Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 8, priority and funding of drainage plan. Mr. Doug Hillexbeck. Doug, I think you got a PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see tonight we've got some people here from Muddy Creek area that are concerned about the flooding that's going on, the bridge situation, and also there's some people here from Charleston subdivision that are concerned about flooding, and I think some of them are going to want to speak under, I think they signed up under new business. In light of the recent hurricanes, and specifically Hurricane Rita, which caused some flooding around the parish, I decided it was important to put this PowerPoint presentation together to recap the recent decisions of this body. The presentation is about the Drainage Board, one, how it shifted priorities for funding for drainage. Two, it's about the Muddy Creek versus a floodgate, Muddy Creek Bridge versus a floodgate and a levee, and three, also the need for some dredging to go on in the Muddy Creek area. I'm not asking anyone for a vote tonight, just presenting the facts as they are and as they've been presented since earlier this year. All quotes that I'm going to refer to, either on tape or they were reported in the various newspapers. Provided the media copies of the presentation along with other handouts that will validate my presentation. I'm asking the media to research the information that I'm providing further and get the information out to the people. The voters need to be informed of this critical issue. Hurricane Rita was our wake-up call, the way I see it. In presenting these facts tonight, I'm only trying to help the residents of Ascension Parish. If we get another storm in the magnitude of Tropical Storm Allison of 2001, we could experience flooding in Ascension Parish like we've not seen in many years. And I say that due to all of the development and some of the decisions that's been made by this board this year. 3 weeks ago, I requested that the meeting be taped and shown on the Parish Access channel. I coordinated it. Everything was approved. 4 o'clock this afternoon, I got a call from the CAO who said that that it had not been approved, or they had canceled it. I don't know who they is, but I guess what I'm about to say tonight, maybe not everybody wants to be televised and shown. So I'm paying for this out of my pocket because I think it's important people of Ascension Parish see what I have to say about all this. Give you a little brief history. Pre-Home Rule Charter, the City of Gonzales commissioned to follow its study in 1980 to study the drainage problems in the parish. Ascension Parish assumes the project in 1981, and the parish passed a half-cent sales tax to fund improvements. Follett completes the drainage studies in 81 and completes the financing plan in 1982. Construction of the Marvin Grove pumping station began in 88. The cost of that station was $13 million. July 16, 1988, the voters approved a 5 mil tax for drainage. The parish took on in-house dredging of the bayous and did that for about 4 years, from 1989 to 1993. In 1993, Corps of Engineers halts the bayou dredging, and they halted it due to there were some permit violations of permits with paperwork in place, so it was halted so that could be resolved. Brief history continues. Post-Home Rule Charter, the parish passed that, and we're under a new form of government. Ascension Parish resolved the Corps of Engineers permit conflicts. The parish embarks on a 5-year, $10 million drainage improvements to Severio Canal, Black Bayou, New River, Bayou Francis was called Phase 1. Dredging is completed up to US 61, Bayou Francois, and Black Bayou is completed as far as the dredging all the way up to Black Bayou Road. And there's one small area segment that remains, and there's some litigation involved in that. Hydraulic studies for upper reaches of Black Bayou, Bayou Francois, Narcisse, and Grand Goudin's completed, and engineering design of Black Bayou and Bayou Francois Phase 2 approximately 90% complete. If you can see the colors, let's see, this is Bayou Francois coming into Gonzales, and this area back to the Marvin Grove Pump Station, New River Canal, Francois Canal, all of that has been dredged and is completed. Black Bayou has been completed up to Black Bayou Road, which I believe is right here. All of that's been dredged except for a small section all the way back, all the way down Severio Canal. Okay. Earlier this year, what happened? Well, we had engineers report to us that Phase 2 construction budget would increase by approximately $1.5 million. This was from existing cost of $9 million to $10.5 million due to increase in cost for the Gonzales bulkheads. The 10-member Drainage Board approved the additional funding and maintained the priorities. However, Councilman Savoy was absent from the meeting. I think he was in New York handling some bonding business. Parish is still on course, and the priorities are still intact. What happened next? Without input or recommendation from the administration or engineering analysis, the Drainage Board abandoned Francois and Black Bayou Phase 2 projects and the bulkheads in Gonzales in June of 2005. The Drainage Board changed priorities and shifted funding from the areas of most benefit to the parish to remote areas of the parish with least development and least need. The priority change was led by Chairman Savoy, Councilman Savoy on the Drainage Board. By the way, there's 10 of us on the East Side Drainage Board. Councilman Thomas does not sit and does not vote because he's strictly on the west side. But it was supported by Council members Bontenot, Valentine, Todd Lambert, Sheck Snyder, and Councilman Byerger. Now, if you look at this map, your two major drainage basins on the east side of the river. This is the Bayou Francois drainage basin in purple, and it also includes the Bayou Narcisse basin. In that particular flood basin, there are 11,468 households. In Bayou Grand Goudin basin, which also includes New River and Smith Bayou, in this particular flood basin, there are 11,509 households, or 35.4% of the households on the east side of the river. East side of the river, according to March of 2005, we had 32,556 households within the east side drainage basins. These two drainage basins combined make up 71% of the households on the east side of the river. We'll get into some notable quotes. Of course, when this happened, I was quite upset about it, and I said, this is political. It does not benefit the majority of the people in the East Ascension Parish. That's my quote, and it's in the paper, or it's on tape, one or the other. Mr. Savoy's comment was, it's not a political issue, it's helping the parish. All this was June 2005. Another quote in that same article, I'm looking out for people who have paid tax for years and got nothing for it. Mr. Savoy, June 2005. And here's one from Mr. Willard Whitmore, one of the original sandbaggers. Let's help the people that need it the most. It's not about whose turn it is, which I agree with him there. More notable quotes. This is Mr. Martin McConnell. This plan is not fair, Mr. Savoy's plan. The proposal needs to be studied. Engineers have said the work on Bayou Francois was too expensive for the benefits. Again, Mr. Savoy. However, nothing was presented to support the claim, and there were no engineers named. And again, we go back to Mr. Willard Whitmore. He says we ought to finish something, and I agree with him. We need to finish something we start. Okay, the vote to shift priorities. Requests were made at that meeting by Councilman McConnell and Councilman Dempsey Lambert to study the proposal in committee. Let's look at it. Let's slow down. Let's kind of evaluate everything. However, the vote failed to send it to committee and study. And Councilwoman Fontenot, Mr. Savoy, Mr. Valentine, Mr. Barger, Scheck-Snyder, and Todd Lambert voted to proceed without further discussing of the shift of priority. And not surprisingly, the final votes for Savoy's project, which was shifting the money from these basins, doing the dredge work in all these basins, to Laurel Ridge levee extension, which is in Mr. Savoy's district. Not surprisingly, the final votes for Savoy's projects included Todd Lambert, Valentine Barger, Fontenot, Scheck-Snyder, and Councilman Dempsey Lambert, because Mr. Savoy threw in that, well, we're going to also work on Henderson Bayou and make that a part of what needs to get done. And as far as Henderson Bayou, I support it 100%. We've got some flooding up there. Floodgate needs to be built. We need to help the people in the Galvez area, and so I'm not against that. I'm behind that 100%. Now, if you're confused, you should be, because I'm confused too. We shifted the priorities. It wasn't based on sound engineering analysis or even committee debate. We shifted from the citizens needing it the most. When I say needing it the most of the people are in the northern end of the parish. We got all the development. I say all of the development, most of the development, and we're putting houses everywhere, and we need some relief in the northern end of the parish. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been wasted by abandoning the projects in midstream. At the same time this decision was going on, we also, the Drainage Board, failed to receive a $1.2 million FEMA grant due to the Drainage Board, at Mr. Savoy's urging, deciding to, instead of raising the bridge raising the road at Muddy Creek, Mr. Savoy came with a plan at the last minute. Well, we're going to do a floodgate instead of a bridge. I found out today, I thought all of this time that we were turned down because we didn't have the hazard mitigation plan in place. But I learned today, no, we were in line to get a $1.2 million grant, which was 75 cents on the dollar, to help the people in District 7 and District 8 that have to cross Muddy Creek Bridge when it floods. The money was coming until the consultant said, well, I think you should know before you award the money that the Drainage Board just changed, and now they look like they're going to do a floodgate instead of raising a bridge. Now, we would be, at this point, we'd be finalizing some plans, and I would think by the first of the year we would have been getting ready maybe to go to bid. And after 15 years of the people up there being promised that something was going to happen, they were going to get some relief, we'd finally be getting them some relief. Let me go back. Again, back to what Mr. Savoy said about it's about helping the people. Well, most of the people on the east side, the clear majority of the people on the east side, the population is in the northern end of the parish. It's like this. And the figures I was given the other day is that in this area right up here, you got about 75,000 people. And these are 75,000 people that are paying a half-cent sales tax. These are 75,000 people that are paying 5 mills of ad valorem taxes on their property. And these are the people that are experiencing some flooding that need some relief. As far as looking out for the people who have paid the tax for years and got nothing for it, I disagree with that statement. $13 million was spent on Marvin Bro Pump Station, Severio Canal, Francois Canal, New River Canal have all been dredged, and has helped primarily the people of Gonzales and the people of Santa Ma. I do agree with Mr. Quidmore's statement, let's help the people that need it the most. Back to the studies. We heard some talk tonight about getting engineers to look at things. Well, engineers are experts, and we rely on them to perform these studies. The latest CDM, which is an engineering firm, consultant, the latest report is that to go over and do this Laurel Levee extension, the 2 miles of Laurel Ridge Levee, is $15 million. It seems a little high. It seems very high for the amount of benefit we're going to get. The report indicates $126 million in benefits if we do this project. In this particular area, they didn't even flood in Hurricane Rita. Found that out. They did not flood in Hurricane Rita. Pump stations are working. A similar CDM study for the Muddy Creek Bridge versus the gate. It's awfully loose numbers with no supporting backup. Plus, there are some serious permitting obstacles that the engineer could not address when I questioned him about it. Specifically, is if we put a floodgate in, that's going to prohibit or it's going to limit the amount of water in the Muddy Creek Basin. We're going to stop the bridge from going under, okay? But that's going to displace a lot of water. In going over the numbers of the proposal, there was $100,000 added to the cost for maintenance over 20 years. Now, this is a concrete bridge, and I'm going to tell you what, I don't think we'll spend $1,000 over 20 years on a concrete bridge. A concrete bridge is it's there. Once you put it in place, it's there. But I question that being added, and I think we're bumping up the numbers because the bridge came in at right at $1.7 million $1,650,000. And surprisingly, the floodgate came in at 1.3. Yet there's no pumps. It's they say they're going to build 20-foot levee, but I feel like if we put that floodgate in, we're going to flood people at Galvez. We're going to flood the people in District 8, south of Alligator Bayou. Anyway, looking at the numbers, looking at the floodgate and the levee improvements for only $1.3 million, I think the numbers really represent fuzzy math. Engineers stated these reports are very preliminary. The numbers and data are from DPW and DOTD. I don't feel that the shift that has gone on, the shift in priority, should be based on these reports, and I think we need to back up and we need to go ahead and do the bridge and move forward from there. We got some more notable quotes. When all this discussion was going on, the bridge is strictly politics. That's all it is. The gate will protect 3,000 residents. The bridge allows 160 to get out. Mr. Savoy, July 2005. This came from C.J. Godin. He said he's the drainage engineer, and he's counted the houses north of Muddy Creek Bridge, and there's 200 homes up there. Well, there's not 160 people living in 200 homes. Okay? The levee extension at Laurel Ridge you're proposing is defining politics. That was my response during the discussion. There are not 3,000 residents flooding in Muddy Basin. Only 750 residents cut off when the creek rises above the bridge. And again, my question is, we put a floodgate in, that water's got to go somewhere. And I don't think Livingston Parish and East Baton Rouge is going to sit idly and allow us to put a floodgate in, and because that is millions of gallons of water that normally go into that basin. And if you put the floodgate in, you're going to flood other areas of the parish. In fact, Tropical Storm Allison in 2001 was a good example because Alligator Bayou broke after being sandbagged. The road and the levee was sandbagged, and it broke, and we flooded a lot of residents in District 8. In fact, I'm going to get into that. Here they are right here. After the levee was sandbagged, Alligator Bayou broke from high flood water. These roads and homes were flooded in District 8. Blaine Petit Road, Klein Peter Road, Knott Lane, Ridge Road, Shadowwood, Stephen Hawkins, and Turcotte. I mean, we had a mess over there. The water's got to go somewhere. This is a little blurry. After the Drainage Board vote, I'll point out that Laurel Ridge Levee, this is out of the 2006 East Ascension construction budget that we just approved. You got Laurel Ridge Levee. We're going to go over there and we're going to spend $1,275,000 in 2006. Of course, $1 million of it is contract payments. Here we still got $425,000 in the budget for Muddy Creek Basin Gate, floodgate, which again I think it needs to be raised in the bridge. Well, after all of this happened, reality bites. Since the shift in drainage priorities, several constituents from the area drained by the abandoned projects have expressed flooding concerns. The people that flooded from Hurricane Rita were in Ms. Fontenot's district, Mr. Bauerger's district, Mr. Lambert's district, Mr. Valentine's district. They were worst affected by the priority shift in the abandoned projects. Okay? As of now, Ms. Fontenot, Mr. Bauerger, Mr. Lambert, Mr. Valentine remain committed to the Savoy plan. It's my understanding the residents up north of Gonzales are quite upset about what's going on, and the residents affected by the priority shift are now considering the rescinding of the half-cent sales tax, petitioning the Drainage Board, putting it on the agenda, get a vote, get it on the ballot. since the Drainage Board appears to be making irrational and irresponsible spending priority decisions. In fact, I think we're making decisions that are political versus need. Of course, another option that the residents have is to not renew the 5 mil 10-year tax for drainage that expires in 2008. And the residents have renewed it once already, but I'm not sure the people in the northern end of the parish will renew it again. These are the areas that were affected by the abandoned projects from Hurricane Rita. Of course, City of Gonzales, they're affected because the bulkheads didn't get built, and Martin Subdivision flooded, which is in Councilman Byerger's district. That's Black Bayou Basin. Seven Oaks, there were some homes in the back. Prairie Oaks had high water in the streets and the yards. Southwood Village, Country Ridge, massive flooding. Quail Creek, Cottonfield, Tommy Moore Road, Woodlandshire, Highways 929, 930, and 621, Stafford Heights, Bro Road, Bayou Grand, North and South, Louisiana Highway 44, Roddy Road, Abbey James, Old Mill Subdivision. All these areas are affected. Forest Oak, Babin Road, Wood Run, Shadow Creek, Lakeview Estates, Pond Terre, Silverstone Estates, and Hollandale Subdivision. Spoke with a resident today about Hollandale. This is Martin Sausage plant on Ascension Highway 929, and it's right there at the corner of 929 and Abbey James Road. And this is Hurricane Rita. And I had several other pictures all along Abbey James that I could have put up there of residents that were in dire straits following that hurricane. Now, funny thing about Abbey James Road is part of the road is serviced and drained by Bayou Manchac Basin, and then part of it goes back through Marty Burette Ditch and back into Henderson Bayou, and part of it goes into Henderson Bayou. So not all the flooding on Abbey James was a result of Hurricane Rita. But this is just south of where Black Bayou begins, which Black Bayou begins at Rhonda Place Subdivision. Latest after-the-fact rationale for abandoning priorities, which I questioned this at the last couple of Drainage Board meetings about how we had changed our priorities and we'd shifted our funding. And it was thrown out that the Marvin Bro pump station can't handle any more flow. I think that's what the Drainage Board wants you to think because of Hurricane Rita flooding, and that's also a non-expert opinion. Now, the manual says that the pump station, each pump will pump 500,000 gallons a minute. You got 5 pumps down there, so in my limited Florida State math, that's 2.5 million gallons of water a minute. That reasoning came out after I questioned how this board shut down the drainage program and decided to go over and help Mr. Savoy in his area with the Laurel Ridge levee. But I paid a little visit to the pump station, and I got a copy of the logbook, and I've given it to the media here tonight, which I went through it, and at any one time we never had more than 3 pumps running at the Marvin Bro pump station. So I'm not sure how we could come to that conclusion that we're overwhelming the pumps and they've reached maximum capacity. That next bullet item, discussion, by the way, the discussion came up at last, I'll go ahead and I'll cover that in a minute. In 2003, the administration would not support the engineering analysis for pumping capacity. Pumping capacity analysis has been avoided for several years, and it's not just the pump station, but it's also the flow of the bayous that have been improved and what still needs to be done. I will say this, that dredging not only improves the flow, but it also improves capacity. And when you have improved capacity, guess what? You can accept more runoff from extended periods of rainfall. Again, the Marvinboro pump station law shows only a maximum of 3 pumps running at any one time. So, and in fact, I think Mr. Mitch Epps, he repeated that in a letter that the pumps had reached maximum capacity. And I called him. I said, Mr. Mitch, where'd you get that from? He said, well, that came from Bill Rue and Todd Lambert. And they did state it, but I take issue with that because it's a little hard to come to that conclusion when we had 2 other pumps sitting there that weren't running at the same time. So I visited the pump station. This is a little dark, but it's the East Ascension pump station entrance. That's a little bit of a dark slide, but the yellow buildings are the 5 pumps. The left side is the end of New River Canal and Severio Canal. Severio Canal is to the north, and New River Canal is back to the west, going back toward Airline Highway 61. This is from the opposite end, looking back, and I was taking a picture in the bright sunlight, so it's a little bit hard to see. But I will say this: you got a heck of a levee over there. And just talking to the employees, the water was never, ever anywhere close to getting out of the levee or anything else. There is an entrance road to the pump station that is low. And, of course, when you're running those pumps, you have to run diesel back there to them for the storage tanks. So I think we do need to see about adding some tanks and having some additional capacity there. Or we need to see about raising the road. Funny thing about it, back over my shoulder as I took this picture, there's also, you can, as I understand it, you can go out from the pump station right up the levee if the road goes under. And the other thing is, there's a real nice concrete Wasky bridge over my shoulder that Parish probably paid quite a few dollars for. That is like a secondary or escape route out of there. It goes out, I think it comes out up around PJ's Landing. And so some post-Hurricane Katrina and Rita. When I questioned Ms. Fontenot, she put on a good PowerPoint presentation of flooding in her district. And I questioned, I said, I think it's a nice presentation, but you did shut down the drainage in your area when you voted to shift priorities and send the money to Laurel Ridge Levee. Well, she came back and said, I want to go on record, my vote in June 05 to redirect and reprioritize our funding to Laurel Ridge Levee had no impact on my district. Well, I disagree. Bayou Goudin starts at right there at Seven Oaks at St. John's Church, and there is substantial flooding along that particular bayou. Again, the pump station is at capacity and can't take any more water. From further improvements to Francois, Narcisse, Goudin, and Black Bayou, that came out of Mr. Lambert, Todd Lambert, and Mr. Bill Rue's mouth. Mr. Bill Rue says, I've asked several times for a proposal on studying the pump station capacity, but not got one. That's not so either, because I checked with the engineering firm that provided a proposal in May of 2003. They sat down with him, they had conversations on 2 different occasions, and Mr. Rue said, we're not going to do this at this time. We're not going to look at this. This is the excerpts from the proposal from this particular engineering firm, $51,404. Determine the impact of the pumping station from the existing and proposed improvement to Black Bayou Francois. Enable the drainage board to determine whether, when, if there'll be additional need for additional pumping capacity. And they sat down and put the proposal together after meeting with the drainage engineer, Mr. C.J. Godin. Went over every item in the scope when the scope was outlined. And again, I think I know in my mind what the pump capacity is, because the engineering manual with it outlines it. But I would like to see maybe some of the other analysis done on the flow of the bayous that have been worked on to make sure we're moving in the right direction. So where do we go from here? I think we need to slow down. We need to allow the administration to do its job with the assistance of experts to develop feasible projects and priorities. I think we need to stop political knee-jerk reactions like the Savoy Plan. I think we need to move away from the ward boss mentality that was made illegal years ago and embrace the benefits to the people as provided in the Home Rule Charter. And I think we need to make sensible, well-thought-out decisions. Sensible proposals are going back to the original priorities that should be continued with Black Bayou, Francois, and Grand Goudin. Phase 2 dredging to provide relief to the developing areas in the north. Back to what Mr. Willard Quintmore said. And dredging of Muddy Creek and any other projects deemed important by this board or the administration. That's my comment, my recommendation. What I'm proposing is why not a win-win and continue with the previous plan of dredging the bayous and in-house extend Laurel Ridge Levee with the excavated spoil. This is a picture of where we stopped at Black Bayou. Black Bayou, the dredging program at Black Bayou Road. As you're traveling from Highway 44 and you're going toward 431, if you look to your right, you're going to see the spoil banks. This is what came out of the bayou that was dredged. When you look back to the left, it's not there because that's where the project ended. And what I'm proposing is, I'm not against doing Laurel Ridge Levee, but I think what we need to do is do this as inexpensively to the taxpayers as possible. And we can use the spoil to build that levee that we dredge out of the other bayous. Another thing I think we need to do is we need to think about asking those landowners to donate right-of-way and servitude for Laurel Ridge Levee extension. My question is, why should the parish spend the parish taxpayers spend millions of tax dollars to build a levee? The Savoy Plan allows landowners to, after we paid for the levee, then the landowners in there that bought that property at a real dirt cheap price, a lot of them are going to go in and develop the property because they no longer have a flooding problem. And they're going to sell it. And some of those people that own that property, and you can't blame them, they're going to sell it and develop it, and they're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But remember, we're going to spend millions of dollars getting there where they can do that. In the meantime, this means more traffic, more demand for tax dollars for additional infrastructure. Again, feasible, permittable projects can follow current priorities, and we need to have less waste and, I think, more sense. Another issue that affects the northern end of the parish, and this is a proposal that needs to go before the Amite River Basin Commission, is the Amite River is silting in. West of Port Vincent, and Councilman Dempsey Lambert can verify this because he showed it to me on his depth finder on his boat. Years ago, that used to be 25 to 30 feet deep. Today, it is like 7 and 8 feet deep, and it's silting in. Well, we've got a problem. One of these days, as that silts in, that water's going to go somewhere. So we need to work on that as well. Now, back when this shift took place, Mr. Savoy said we were going per the original Follett plan. I disagree. I think when the Follett plan was in place, that was almost 25 years ago, and we didn't have 100,000 people, 95,000 people in the parish then. We had 32,000 in 1980. And so I think we need to look at that, and we need to understand what's going on, and we need to act and not be caught where we have residents flooding unnecessarily north of Gonzales. I keep saying the northern end of the parish is actually north of Gonzales. One of the things one of the items that was specific in the Follett plan was that the drainage board should be made up of both elected officials and civic leaders. And I really think we need to look at doing that. Maybe it might take some of the politics out of all of this. Another issue that's burning in my gut is that the drainage board, I feel, needs to be under home rule charter. I think it was a mistake because the parish president cannot veto any decision made by this drainage board. So who's ever got the votes, who's got the votes, and that's where the money's going to go. And I realize that's probably going to take a vote of the people, but I would sure like to see us move in that direction because I think it would make sense. That was a good plan they put forth in 1982, and that is a key item that somehow got left out. And Mr. Mitch, who was one of the original sandbaggers, Mr. Mitch F. sitting right here on the front row, I think you were the one that brought Mr. Follett and he put together this flood study and this plan to help and to benefit the people of Ascension Parish. But I think some politics got involved, and that was overlooked. We need to eliminate wasteful political spending that benefits politicians during elections. Well, no doubt that's going to help Mr. Savoy over there come election time if he's got something moving on All Ridge Levee. But I checked today, it's my understanding that we build this levee, that's about 450 residents that's going to benefit. And we're talking, 450 homes, 450 homes was the number I got. I can't fathom us spending possibly $15 million, which those numbers may be high, maybe $10 million, it could be more than that, but I can't understand spending that kind of money just to help that number of households. I think we need to do what's right for the people and not what a majority of vote allows for politics. So in closing, I'm asking that we support sensible government and we maybe go back and think about what we've done here and reprioritize and get back on track. I know it's another issue that came out was that we're not going to spend the money to go out there and dredge the bayous on contract like it's been done on the southern end of the parish. We're going to go do it in-house. That decision was made in July, and guess what? There hasn't been a blade of dirt turned, and there probably won't be. And my proposal is, if that's really such a good idea, let's do the levee in-house, and let's go ahead and let's get back on track and address these serious drainage issues because we're supposedly locked into a long-term weather pattern of 10 to 20 years where you're going to see serious storms, you're going to see heavy rainfalls, and we're primed for some serious flooding that I think we can avert if we will get back on track and spend our money wisely. Thank you.
Before we move on, anyone has any presentation? Sure, everybody does. Mr. Sidewalk?
One second. I apologize.
Mr. Thompson, come. Glad to have you. Mr. Sidewalk, you got the floor.
Members of the East Central Drainage Board, I got a couple of comments. One, it's very clear in Mr. Hillenbeck's proposal that he has a major problem with me personally, much less just the plan that I brought to the table.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. I ask you to keep the personal remarks out. Let's just stick to the
Personal
facts.
remarks.
Okay?
Mr. Hillenbeck, I think you had your turn, so we'll let Mr. Sidewalk continue.
That's interesting. But anyway, for the citizens of Ascension Parish, in Mr. Hillenbeck's presentation, as a matter of fact, let me stand up. I'm going to do something Mr. Marvin Bro done one time. When you want people to really listen to you, stand up. So that's what I'm going to do. In the presentation that was provided by Mr. Hillenbeck, number one, it's kind of like a colander. It doesn't hold water. I'm not going to sit here and half the night and bore you because I have to go back step by step. But it's a colander that doesn't hold water. He has got a personal vendetta against me for whatever reason. Really don't care. The plan, as he stated in his presentation, multiple times. Not my plan, ladies and gentlemen. It's the people's plan. of 1982. Just like he said, all the information that he shared with us tonight, he either got it from clips of the newspaper or the minutes of the meeting or whatever. The so-called sidewalk plan, right here. You, the citizens of Central Parish, voted on this plan. And if you go and you read the proposition that was put before the people in 1982, you'd probably see that over the course of the years, we've steered away to the point where it may be illegal. Now, so far as the Law Ridge levy, he talked about finishing something. The Law Ridge levy in the plan. We started that a long time ago whenever we started Black Bayou and the Morgan Grove pumping station, because the levee is part of the Black Bayou Basin. We've never finished that. I don't know where he's getting off on that, but so be it. Proposals. He's talking about proposals need to be studied. He's talking about additional study. You got to study. Pay good money for it. We didn't only get a study, we got a plan. And a good plan. If we'd worked the plan, and if we would have stuck to the plan all these years. Assisting the most citizens. He keeps talking about assisting the most citizens. If you look at right at $20 million that was spent on actual major drainage construction infrastructure, the $13 million pumping station, all the millions of dollars clearing New River, Bayou Francois, and Black Bayou up to the point where we have them today. That has helped the large majority of the residents in the Black Bayou Basin, period. So whenever the quotes came in to proceed through Gonzales, was going to take bulkheading a large stretch, and the cost of that project escalated to $10 million, like I seen up here, for a cost-benefit factor of less than 3 inches at Gonzales. That's whenever I think a good business decision needs to be made. And I couldn't see spending $10 million going through Gonzales when we wasn't going to see that much of a benefit. Okay? I went and talked to Mayor Berklot. Mayor Berklot understands totally. He just had a major concern that we were going to skip that section and go further upstream and clean. And then he had a problem, and you were right. I would have a problem if I was him too. But he didn't have a problem with the redirecting of these priorities. So far as the tax, the people in northern and the parish around Henderson Basin, no. Even Mr. Hillenbeck, you've been paying that tax since '82. What major drainage improvements have you seen? Nothing. You've seen Henderson Bayou dredge some. That's about all. You've seen a $480,000 floodgate fail within the first 4 hours. That's about all you got since 1982. Period. Now, so far as redirecting the funds and the efforts, I stand by what I put together, and I lobbied. Did I lobby? You doggone right I did. I lobbied these members right here to change it because we could benefit 4,000 people. If you went to the Henderson Basin, there was 4,000 plus, well, I was going to be real short, but I don't guess I will. Y'all bear with me because I got some numbers here. They got, Henderson Basin has got over 3,000 addresses right now today. Now we know Keystone's coming up with 750, and then there's a couple more that I can't get my hand on real fast enough. But y'all need some help. Henderson Basin needs some help bad. Okay, Black Bayou Basin has been taken care of. For the most part, when we talk about flooding, we're not talking about drainage, we're talking about flooding. Black Bayou Basin has pretty much been taken care of. with the exception of a few isolated areas. Henderson Basin, 0. Muddy Creek, 0. Okay? So I thought it would be the good business sense to go up there and start helping those people over there that's been paying that tax in 1982. You know, Mr. Hildenbeck threw up a bunch of garbage up here tonight that just, I wish, no, I don't want to go through that. Like, for instance, studying, you know, well, where did the study come from? From his end, when he came to the table, boom, let's raise the bridge. I didn't hear nothing about that. I didn't see that go through no committee. I didn't see nothing other than he come to the table one night, let's do it. Now, at the time, I really don't believe Mr. Hillenbeck knew about this plan. Really don't. Because, and I explained it and showed it to him. Now, this is a solid plan. It just hasn't been implemented in a timely manner, unfortunately. But we're trying to get there. There's two things that Mr. Hildenbeck may mention that does concern me. The $1.2 million grant that supposedly we lost because of this board's action. Now, he said he found that out today. According to my sources, it was denied because we did not have a flood mitigation plan. That's what was supposed to mean. Now, if there's new evidence out there differently, I'd like to see the facts. Okay? Another thing that Mr. Hillenbeck made mention that during Rita, we only had 3 pumps going maximum. This board was told different. And that's a serious problem I've got.
There's 5 pumps running.
Okay? You was out there? You physically went out there. You saw 5 pumps.
Saturday they had 5 pumps running.
Case
at least 12 hours.
Okay?
Never happened.
You know, so far as it's not maxed out, whenever I got my department, I understand that us as a board, has to depend on our department to come and give us some sound facts. Whenever that department comes and tells us, and you can pull it up on the GIS, on the bill. What's the gauges called? We got gauges throughout the region, or throughout the basin. You can call it up on the telephone, and it will give you the readings, the elevation readings and all that. And it's got a graph. You can pull it up, and you can basically see when they cut another pump on at the pumping station, even if you were taking a reading down at the up in the flight value. Whenever I see graphs, and I get reports from DPW saying that we had all 5 pumps going, and all we were doing was maintaining it for 4 hours, that kind of tells me we maxed out. And at that point, we got to make a decision to see if we can't retrofit what we got to get more capacity out, or add another pump. Now, don't know where it's coming from. Now, board members, looking at the presentation by Mr. Hillenbeck, he pounced on me pretty hard tonight, and basically it was on me. I'm going to ask y'all, don't go there. Unless you got something really deep in your craw that you really feel like you got to get out, go ahead and say it. But he took a shot at me. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. I prefer going on to the next agenda item or let the people speak and see what they got to say, but it's not worth going any further. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sahu, I disagree with that part because he took a shot at me too. And for the benefit of my people that's in my district, when I voted to redirect this money, it was because of this plan. I got this plan when I first got elected, and I began reading the plan. I take drainage serious in Ascension Parish. They've asked us not to be territorial or police jurors, but to be councilmen for the whole parish. That's where I'm going, and that's what I tried to do. 2 things were said tonight that I need to clear up. The northern part of the parish, where my people are, were not affected by any kind of redirecting at all. This water drains into Manchac. It doesn't go to our pumping station. The other part of my area that did get flooded, the water does go to the pumping station, but it couldn't get there because of debris. That has been taken care of. We talked about that earlier tonight. I complimented Mr. Rue and his staff for cleaning out the Goudin Port that caused a lot of major flooding in Prairie Oaks and Silverstone and some of these other areas that were in my district. Our DPW is working on those problems. They've made that a priority, and they're working on it. Had that water gotten to the pumping station, it would have helped a whole lot. It couldn't get to the pumping station, and the pumping station people informed me that they had to start cutting the pumps off because they couldn't get enough water down, and they were drawing it down too far. The reason the water wasn't getting down there from my area was because it just couldn't get through. It had nothing to do. If the water had gotten through, our pumps would have been working and everything would have been fine. That's the drainage plan. He said this, the 1982, this is Mr. Hillenbeck's quote, it was a good plan. It is a good plan. We need to implement it. We need to find out. If it's not, if there's some flaws, I mean, time has passed. Maybe we need to readdress some things. But at this point in time, that is the only plan we have. And that's the only one we can follow at this point. Thank you.
Mr. Sabo.
Mr. Ellis, I'd like for you to stand up. Mr. Ellis was the original sandbagger. He was one of the original members on the drainage board, correct?
That is correct. I was the vice chairman of the group when the pavilion volunteered when we put that plan together.
This
We
full
had professional help. Sandy
this full plan that y'all had told us to come up with that was presented to the people, and this plan was voted on. This plan right here, if you read the proposition very good, this plan is what the people went to the polls and voted on. Is it a sound engineered master drainage plan for Ascension Parish?
I feel it.
Okay. Do you feel that the East Ascension Drainage Board has pretty much met its objectives in the Black Bayou basin?
I haven't been currently close enough to what's been going on in the Black Bayou to comment on that. I will say if we follow that plan and the schedule it was set out, that whole plan was then completed 5 years after the date it was initiated. And we drug along, the police jury got involved, we got political, it started digging out the canals.
It's still political.
The Corps of Engineers come in and shut it down. The whole plan went to hell. In a nutshell. And we just now look like trying to get back and restore what we started many years ago. We wouldn't be sitting here with a lot of these problems tonight if we followed that plan.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
I have one thing. Mr. Hillenbeck, on the redirection, you put my name up there that it affected my district. The redirection did not affect my district. It helped my district because the part of my district that hurt in this Reader flood was Lake Martin area, which is coming off the Henderson Bayou Basin in that area. That's where we redirected the funds to. People that really are hurting. So what you said was misleading. I just wanted to state that.
In your opinion?
No, I didn't have any flooding in my district other than on the Henderson Bayou Basin.
Excuse me, you had a resident show up, Mr. Chester Allred, came down and he was flooded and wiped out. He came to the drainage board meeting in October. Okay, right there, I mean, that is your constituent, right? Yeah, that's your constituent.
That's
Go ahead.
fine.
That's Ms. Fondos. See, that's what I say. You're misleading on a lot of your statements you made. Was misleading. As far as the pumps, I was at the pumping station on Saturday. You can talk with the two guys over there, Mr. Roy Rouillet that operates the pumps. He's seen me there. Matter of fact, I had a couple other people with me. All 5 pumps were running. Bill, I think they were running for what, about 12 hours straight at the prime time when we needed to full capacity.
Well, Mr. Dempsey Lambert and I visited the pump station. And Dempsey, am I relaying the information that was given to us that at any one time, and of course the logbooks only show a total of 3 stations were running. And employees I talked to say, oh no, so we run 3 and we shut it down. In fact, if you look at the log, that's all I'm going on is the logbook that was maintained for the storm, is that we didn't run 5. So I'm of the belief that the pumps were not
I was there.
maxed out.
Byron.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
we talked about a couple of reaches that we changed direction on. I think if you check the plan, if I recall correctly, the upper reaches of Gonzales aren't in that plan. I believe it stops where the plan calls for. So the part to Gonzales is completed. We didn't stop anything. We did what the plan said to do. We stopped where it says stop, and we go on to Muddy Creek now. Mr. Hillensbeck made comments about the Black Bayou Basin. We had to stop that. We're going to do it in-house. We're going to continue it to where the plan says. There's this big mention, we stopped it. We didn't stop anything. The money is funded. It's in our budget, and we're going to move on with that portion. I mean, my question is, who's so political here? I mean, all these lies and deception that we've seen tonight seems to be pretty political to me. Talked about the 71% of the people in the Black Bayou Basin that's getting affected right now.
Black Bayou and Grand Boudin combined.
Excuse me, Mr. Hillensbeck, I didn't say anything when you had the floor. I have it now. Please be quiet. All right? We talked about the 71% in this basin that's being affected. Well, the majority of the 71% of this basin has been taken care of. Like I just said, there's a little portion of the Black Bayou that still hasn't been dredged, but other than that, it's been taken care of, with the exception of the Laurel Ridge Levee. The Laurel Ridge Levee would help a lot more than 450 residents if we had another event like 83, when one flood basin flows into the other flood basin. You talk about major problems if that happens again. All right? This levee will stop that from happening. You need to do a little more research and get your facts correct before you come up here and lie to the residents of Ascension Parish. Like General Honoré would say, sometime I think you start going stupid. Mr. Valentine, I believe you.
I don't know if I can follow that, but I'll try. Couple of things. And it's pretty obvious by Mr. Hillensbeck's presentation. His problem is that we took Muddy Creek Bridge out of the situation. Mr. Savoy is right. It didn't go through committee. It was put into the budget, was voted on in the budget. When we realized it was in the budget, we really didn't think that was a priority, because essentially by fixing Muddy Creek Bridge, we really didn't establish an analysis ahead of the bridge to see, in raising the road, whether it would affect any districts. One that would affect would have been mine. He mentioned in his proposal tonight, or his presentation tonight, all the roads in District 8, which is mine, that flooded. But I didn't see anywhere in District 8 where, in that area he talked about, where any houses were flooded, because there really wasn't. But I got a serious problem on whether analysis is done ahead of the Muddy Creek Bridge. Now, some of you residents here tonight obviously were told ahead of time that your area was going to be on the agenda. I wasn't even told that. The only thing I got was priority funding the drainage program. But obviously the word got out to you people that you were here because the bridge was going to be discussed and some other things were going to discuss. But as you can see, Mr. Hillensbeck chooses to try to get things done by either embarrassing or bringing up situations and making it political. But I continue to you that we're talking about a drainage program for the entire parish. We're not talking about raising Muddy Creek Bridge. Muddy Creek Bridge, raising Muddy Creek Bridge, does not stop one house from flooding. If it's going to be raised for a safety issue, it needs to go through Road and Bridge, not out of this drainage project. And that's why we directed, or most of us agree with Mr. Savoy when he said we need to redirect the funding for the Laurel Ridge Levee and naturally the Henderson Bayou and floodgates. Really, once again, this drainage board and the council once again have to sit here and make explanations on accusations that are brought forward again. And if people look at the history of the last 2 years, you can just look at it, who's brought them up.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to bring up a couple things because my name was brought up also, and want to make sure everybody knows that my case for redirecting $10.5 million is that I really believe, after taking a look at it, that we can help more people. The people that were in my district that he named earlier, are not affected by this at all. I thought it was very important that we help the people in Cotton Bayou and Muddy Creek and Henderson Bayou, which this monies would be available for them at whatever the engineers said we need to do. That would be the best thing. But also my biggest concern was in 83, I did walk the Laurel Ridge levee, and we can't have that happen again. We had very near a catastrophe in that area, and we have to shore that up, because the worst thing that can happen to the majority of people in Gonzales and everybody else is if that one basin overflows to the next, and then these majority of people in Ascension Parish will be flooded like they were. That's the reason we came here, and the people pass this tax is because the people in the middle of Gonzales and all the area has been flooded. And the thing that would cause that to happen again is if one basin from the Amite and Henderson overflows into that. We're experiencing that right now in Sorrento, where the Conway Basin and everything does have, they didn't finish the levee there, and it does overflow. Fortunately, we have some ditches that allow it to go to Francois. And right now we do have the capacity, but as we continue in the other part of the parish, the southern part, we're going to lose that capacity. So, not only is that levee important, but all of the other projects that need to be done, I think, would help most of the people in this parish, and I'm for us doing them on a priority basis, whatever that might be.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Mrs. Putnam.
Well, I just wanted to say that part of what we heard about Katrina and the levees in New Orleans was that people knew there was a problem and they did nothing about it. They just talked about it. Well, we know, just as Mr. Shakespeare and Mr. Savoy said, that the Laurel Ridge levee is
best for the people that are here now, which will in turn be what's best for the future of all the new neighbors that we'll have over the years to come. And thank y'all.
Thank you. I'd like to, we got copies. I want to get Michael Sanjay a copy of all these articles, and Mr. O'Neill Parishing, which is our legal. And Mr. CJ and Mr. O'Neill, maybe we can get with Michael and see what's the hold up on this study, this drainage, this new drainage study that has been proposed, and what's the hold up on part of getting copies out to.
Sometimes maybe delaying all that back, mainly because Michael, I talked to him today, and they're having some disagreement, if you will, on the modeling. So that means that Michael, to me, it means Michael looks at it very closely. Okay. But the key is they can't start developing the subdivision until Michael approves the construction plan. That takes 10 years. They still can't start. So Michael is reviewing and if you have a little more patience, I think he'll be forthcoming. I like to believe that, but he is realistic. Yes, sir. That's it. Michael's making sure it's realistic, and he doesn't want to give you a piecemeal copy. Once everybody agrees that this is realistic, these are realistic values, and it shows something, at that time, then we'll sit down and I'll be satisfied with that long back. And it is realistic. But I've been living there 30 years, and you do have both backwater flooding and runoff flooding in there, and I can assure you that. And that's the model they do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, CJ, Mr. Epps. Mr. Shakespeare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were in that meeting today because we were discussing on the drainage ordinance. And I don't know the numbers, Mr. Epps, but I do know Mr. Sanjay has very strongly worked on this subdivision in particular, and made requests of the developer that's above him. They've met our minimum requirements already for this parish and could build the subdivision. But he has very strongly requested that they go above and beyond this. The developers, engineers have acquiesced to that, and the big holdup right now is they're sending different models to make sure. And he had said, I was with the discussion, and he said, I want to make absolutely sure we get exactly what we expect. And so that's all in the process, and they've been going back and forth, and they had a whole stacks of papers. And so it's probably 4 to 5 times more than anybody else has been doing. So I felt a lot better coming out of this meeting about the process and about what's happening. I felt a lot better about some of the developers' willingness to do some things above and beyond. And I felt a lot better about our review agency. And I do believe now that you will see a good document whenever they finish it. So I felt a lot better today about it.
Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare.
And we want to try to get a drainage ordinance that address these things on an ongoing basis, and so that's why we're trying.
Thank you, Mr. Any more, Mr. King, want to speak? Mr. Deputy?
Yeah, I was waiting to let everyone finish up, and I want to let everyone know I appreciate the concerned citizen and the working together on this, and I think we can all come to a good consensus on it, just as long as we don't impose any more flooding on anyone than we have to. I think it's a nice development. It's going to help, but I don't want to hurt the existing homeowners there. I think we headed in the right direction. Thank you. I got one, Mr. Chairman.
Old business?
No,
Same issue? Okay.
Gentlemen, Ms. Fontenot, been on board 2+ years now. For you to take up an issue, come up with this right here, a lot of work put into this right here. Mr. Elps, I want to congratulate you and your team for putting this together. This is serious. I mean,
I've been involved in the flooding and drainage in the parish for about 25 years now. Not so much in recent years until this came up.
But it takes a lot of work. One thing that I would like for us to follow up on, O'Neill, is the good neighbor law. I would like for you to be able to explain that to this board at the next meeting in depth as far as...
Right now, you can't do any action on your property which adversely impact your neighbor's property. I mean, and it has to be an impact. It's the nuisance ordinances, Louisiana Civil Code Articles 666, 667, 658, because I look at it all the time, look at this stuff. And essentially, that's what it means. You have to, it deals with those who drain onto others more than anything else, and that you have to accept the water of your neighbor, and you have to release it in a like manner of which it gets to you. I think the issues come up before about people putting trenches around their property and everything like that. And if you receive the water and then put it where it's supposed to be, and you don't cause any adverse impact, that's basically what it is. It's simple. It's not a complex law.
While O'Neill is up there. O'Neill, I've been dealing with a constituent all summer long. And I've gone to DPW, I've gone everywhere, and I don't know what to do to solve the man's problem. But I happen to have the pictures here tonight. He's got a neighbor, he's got a natural drainage that goes behind his house and drains into man shack. And this neighbor put 3 feet of dirt. And so now all the water stays on his side because they put the dirt over into the area where the water goes behind the houses to everywhere. It's not a ditch. It's just a natural drainage thing. And nobody over here could tell me what the man can do about it.
It's illegal.
I really don't want to give legal advice to individuals. I mean, he probably needs to consult an attorney and not consult me. I'm the legal advisor to the board, not to individuals.
Well,
I think he needs to consult an attorney.
But can the parish allow this? The parish can't make him this man move this dirt?
If it's not a parish ditch, then it's a personal matter between individuals. It's a civil dispute between neighbors. He needs to consult an attorney. If it's not a parish ditch that we maintain, they need to consult an attorney.
Mr. CJ, you and I looked at this particular area, and I thought being a floodplain manager, you had a little bit of control if somebody filled in a floodplain area.
We don't have that authority to prevent that now, but we will as soon as y'all adopt the new updated ordinance. But right now, we actually, and I thought at the time we could do that, but
Okay.
place right now that allows us to prevent that.
Because this is a bad situation. that's why we're trying to get it
And,
done.
and I just found it just very, very odd because this whole area, I mean, that's just the way the area is. The ground is high and it goes down into like a valley-like and it all goes out. And I mean, he just put it directly in the middle of it.
If it's not our drainage ditch, then he needs to consult an attorney. He can use the laws of the state about blocking drainage, but he has to consult his own private attorney against a private individual.
I will get the information to him. Thank you.
Any old business, continuation? Old business? Executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Savoy. Any objection? So moved.